It's 12:45 a.m. in South Pasadena. The temperature is finally dropping below 80. My wife and son are asleep in the house. I'm out here in the garage, supposedly sorting through a bag of old travel baseball jerseys for my son's team. I'm looking for a specific set of catcher's gear, but I keep getting pulled back to this corner. Behind a stack of old production files and a box of Little League trophies, I found this piece of hardware. It looks like an old reel-to-reel mixed with a ham radio from the 70s. I've been tinkering with it for a few weeks now, patching it through my old monitors. I call it the dead air.
Whiskey, Oscar, Mike, Bravo, Alpha, Tango.
Most people think history is a closed book, a collection of dates and statues. But when I hit the right frequency on this thing, the PR fades away. It's a pocket of time when the, quote, great men finally have to answer for the scenes they tried to cut from the script. Tonight, I'm locking the dial on July 4th, 1826. I want to talk to the man who gave us the American mission statement and then spent 50 years making sure he never had to sign the check. I'm Koji Steven Sakai, and this is Unhistory. Thomas Jefferson, welcome to South Pasadena. I hope you don't mind sitting next to a half-empty bag of fertilizer and a pitching machine.
Mr. Sakai, you have a very intrusive manner of summon. I was told my work was finished upon my passing at Monticello. Why have I been brought to this mechanical shed?
It's an audit, Tom. We're checking the books. Let's start with 1776. You wrote, "All men are created equal." It's the ultimate hook. It's the line that sold the movie. But while you were writing that, you had 175 human beings working your land for $0 an hour. By the time you died, that number was over 600. How do you square that? Was all a placeholder? Were you planning to fix it in the rewrite?
You must understand the moral agony. I called slavery a hideous blot. I lived with the wolf by the ear. You can't hold him, and you're afraid to let him go. The economic machinery of Virginia would have collapsed into chaos.
The machinery. Let's look at the machinery of your own house. Mulberry Row. I coach youth baseball, Tom. I work with kids. You had boys, 10, 11, 12 years old, making nails from dawn to dusk to pay off your debts. You even wrote in your farm book that you estimated their labor like it was a math problem. You gave the productive kids extra food and clothes, and you had the lazy ones whipped. Is that the Enlightenment? Using children as a line item so you could afford your wine cellar?
I was providing them with a trade. I was preparing them for a world that...
You were preparing them to be profit margins. Let's talk about that profit. You were $100,000 in debt when you died. Millions today. You spent it on orders of French wine, fine art, and rebuilding Monticello over and over because the vibe wasn't right. You chose high-energy interior design over the literal human rights of the people you called equal. Is that moral agony, or just a really bad case of living way beyond your means? All right. Speaking of interior design, you invented the swivel chair, which is great. But honestly, as a guy who owed everyone money, did you just invent it so you could literally spin away from the creditors when they walked into the room?
The revolving Windsor chair was a triumph of ergonomic efficiency. It allowed me to access multiple texts without standing.
Sure it did. Let's talk about the White House. Someone sent you the mammoth cheese, a 1,200-pound block of cheese engraved with your campaign slogans. I have to know, did you eat it? Did it smell? Because 1,200 pounds of dairy in DC humidity sounds like a biological weapon.
The people of Cheshire, Massachusetts presented it as a monument to republicanism. It was a symbol of agrarian excellence.
But did you eat it, Tom?
We served it at receptions for nearly 2 years.
2-year-old unrefrigerated cheese? The Enlightenment must have had an iron stomach. And speaking of weird White House flexes, you kept a pet mockingbird named Dick in the Oval Office. You'd leave his cage open and let him fly around while you worked. Did Dick ever poop on a treaty? Because I have a dog, and I know how animals operate around important paperwork.
Dick was a companion of the highest intellect. He would sing me to sleep and eat from my lips.
Okay, that's just insanitary. Let's get back to the serious stuff. You built your entire political brand on a strict construction. You said the federal government couldn't do anything unless it was explicitly written in the Constitution. But then the Louisiana Purchase comes along. You wanted the land, but the Constitution didn't say you could buy it. So what did you do? You bought it anyway. You acted like a Hollywood accountant finding a loophole. Or did you just change the rules when it benefited your ratings?
The opportunity to secure the continent for the Empire of Liberty was paramount. I stretched the Constitution until it cracked, yes, but for the good of the people.
For the good of the people. What about the Embargo Act of 1807? You wanted to punish Britain and France, so you just banned all American exports. You completely crashed the U.S. economy. Sailors starved, ships rotted in harbor, and you basically hid in the White House while everyone went broke. How is destroying the livelihoods of thousands of Americans protecting the Empire of Liberty?
It was a peaceful alternative to war. The citizens had to make sacrifices for national sovereignty.
They made the sacrifices, Tom. You just sat in your swivel chair and drank Bordeaux. It's easy to say the tree of liberty must be refreshed with the blood of the patriots when it's never your blood doing the refreshing. Let's talk about Alexander Hamilton. You hated him. He hated you. When Aaron Burr shot him in a duel, be honest. Did you do a little dance in the Oval Office? Did you pop open a bottle of the expensive stuff?
Mr. Hamilton and I had profound philosophical differences regarding the bank and the centralization of power. His demise was a tragedy for his family.
You didn't answer the question, Tom. You definitely celebrated. But let's look at your foreign policy. In 1804, the enslaved people in Haiti fought for their freedom and won. They did exactly what you told the world to do in 1776. Did you welcome them?
The situation in Saint-Domingue was precarious.
You slapped a trade embargo on them. You tried to starve the only other republic in the hemisphere because you were terrified that freedom might be contagious. You betrayed the very idea of your own revolution because you didn't want the people you owned to get any ideas. Let's look at your science. In your book, Notes on the State of Virginia, you wrote that black people secrete less by the kidneys, have a disagreeable odor, and their griefs are transient. Where was the data for that, Tom? Or were you just writing a script to justify why you weren't out there picking your own tobacco?
Those were suspicions. Observations of a race in a different state of...
It was a lie, and you knew it. It was a lie because of Sally Hemings. She was 14 when you took her to Paris. You were 44. She was legally free in France, Tom. She could have stayed there, but you made a deal with a teenager. You promised to free her future children if she came back to Virginia with you, back to a place where she was property.
I loved her. Our relationship was...
It was a hostage situation. You manipulated a child's maternal instinct to keep her in a cage. You fathered 6 children with her and kept them in the service entrance. You treated your own family like property. When you died, you only freed 5 people in your will, and they were all Hemming. The other hundreds sold at auction, family shattered, all to pay for your books and your moldings. You had this gadget, the polygraph, a machine that let you write 2 letters at once. As a guy who accidentally hits reply all in emails, I have to ask, did you ever accidentally copy the wrong person? Did you ever send a slavery is a hideous blot letter to a slave trader by mistake?
My correspondence was meticulously managed.
I bet. And what about your editing skills? You literally took a razor blade to the New Testament. You cut out all the miracles and the divinity of Jesus to create the Jefferson Bible because they didn't fit your rational narrative.
I sought the philosophy of Jesus, the diamonds in the dunghill, as I called them.
You knew how to cut out the parts of the story you didn't like. You did it with the Bible, and you did it with the Declaration. You let the Continental Congress cut out the paragraph blaming King George for the slave trade so you wouldn't offend South Carolina. You let them edit out the truth so you could get the deal done. That's not leadership. That's a sellout. All right, let's wrap this up with the weird stuff. You recorded the temperature twice a day for 50 years. Even on July 4th, 1776, you were more worried about the thermometer than the revolution. Didn't you have a country to run? Or is that just your version of doom scrolling the weather app?
Science requires data. Accuracy is the hallmark of an ordered mind.
Accuracy is great, Tom. I just wish you'd applied some of that ordered mind to the all men are created equal part. And finally, the nickel. Why is it so big? It's the most annoying coin in my pocket. It doesn't work in most vending machines. Was that your final revenge on the American consumer?
The 5-cent piece is a stable unit
It's a
of...
nuisance, Tom. Just like your excuses. You gave us a vocabulary for a better world, but you didn't have the guts to speak the language. You wanted the credit for being a founding father while running a forced labor camp to fund your taste in Bordeaux. You were the, quote, Negro president who only won the 1800 election because of the 3/5 clause, giving you extra electoral votes for the people you kept in chains. Final audit. Thomas Jefferson, you're staying in the dead air. I'm leaving the signal open and I'm playing the 13th Amendment and the DNA results of your descendants on a loop. Enjoy the Enlightenment.
Wait, the university, the architecture, what of the Louisiana?
Signal deads, Tom, just like the promises you wrote.
Whiskey, Oscar, Mike, Bravo, Alpha, Tango.
I'm Koji Steven Sakai. I'm going to see if I can tune the frequency to the late 1990s next. There's a saint who built a global brand on the beauty of suffering as long as it was someone else's pain. We're going to see if Mother Teresa's holy ledger actually balances out.